Ladies and gentlemen, in the past, I did some videos on how hospitals have shut down across rural America. Well, banks are now closing their doors in rural America. And, I said this before, and I will say this once again. This will be the first place in America to collapse. And I stick with that. So, this, ladies and gentlemen, came out in Axios, rural America's banking problem. Add one more thing to the list of rural America's ails: diminished access to banks. Now, that is bad. It was bad enough it was the hospital. Now, people are going to have a harder time getting to banks. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, y'all. So, driving the news, the shuttering of branches across the US had a disproportionate negative effect in certain areas, according to new research from the Federal Reserve. Underbanked rural communities were left with even fewer banks in the span of 5 years. Urban communities didn't see the same substantial declines. Why it matters: the lack of banking services could help propel the issues plaguing rural America, including population declines as more people move to urban areas and economic malaise, and exacerbate the rural urban divide. Access to banking services is crucial to building a cushion of wealth that can provide stability and support economic opportunity and mobility over the long term, per the feds. The latest, the Fed identified 44 counties that had 10 or fewer branches in 2012, and then lost at least half of those banks by 2017. 89% of those counties are rural, including places like Cochran County in Texas and Missaukee County in Michigan. Rural counties hit the hardest by branch closures, had older, poorer, and less educated populations than other rural counties. Fed researchers note groups that tend to rely on nearby banking services the most. Those are my neighbor's dogs, y'all. Of note, while in person banking has become less relevant with the rise of online and mobile banking, that's not the case for everyone. What we're saying is community members told the feds in a series of listening sessions that digital banking wasn't as accessible for older bank customers, the report notes. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a terrible thing for people that live in rural America. You got to think about the ones that do have jobs there. When they get paid, that means they're going to have to travel further out, depending on where these branches are located, or they're going to have to cash checks or make deposits. And now they're going to have to drive longer distances to do those things, or even use an ATM. Wow. You know, you can't just automatically think everybody has direct deposit, because believe it or not, there's a lot of people that still don't have direct deposit. It's a lot of them. But I tell you what, if these banks are leaving, it's going to kind of force them to do it, the ones that don't have it. Wow. Between the lines, the challenges for bank business in rural communities are precisely ones that banks can help solve. In a survey of community banks, of the Conference of State Bank Supervisors, some bankers describe being trapped in shrinking rural markets that are saturated and economically stagnant, which they cite as a risk to attracting and retaining core deposits. The bottom line, the loss of banks create direct costs in terms of residents' access to financial services, but there are also large indirect costs. Richmond Fed President Thomas Barkin tells Axios in a statement, they invest in their communities, educate others about finances, create incentives for other businesses, and signal a community vibrancy, Barkin said. The Richmond Fed, which counts Maryland through South Carolina, plus most of West Virginia as part of its district, hosted its first event focused on rural America earlier this year. Go deeper. Yeah, rural America death spiral. Rural Americans can't catch a break. Woo. This is bad news for people that live there. And you got to remember they got a big elderly population in rural America, not very many young people there because of the lack of jobs. And this thing about banks closing, ooh, this is devastating, especially for those kind of areas. And I know I have told you before, both my parents, my mother and father, come out of rural America. So I've been in and out of rural America all throughout my life. So I know very much about those areas and the kind of people that live there. But y'all, please tell me what you think about this one. Rural America's banking problem. Damn. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.